Good afternoon. Welcome to IHS Chemicals World Petrochemical Conference. I'm Rob Westervelt, Editor-in-Chief of IHS Chemical Week, and I'm delighted to be joined by Steve Pryor, President of ExxonMobil Chemicals. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Rob. Good to be here.
In your speech, your keynote address today, a few interesting points that you made. One, that you see ethylene growing over the next 30 years by essentially 1.5 times, and I think the figure was the volume of chemicals traded between regions equaled about 5% at the start of, I guess, in 2000, and you see it growing to about 20% by 2020.
Yeah.
What's driving this growth, and what's driving the globalization of industry?
Well, when you talk about the globalization of the chemical business, you got to look at it from the standpoint of demand and supply. From a demand standpoint, the globalization is being driven by rising prosperity, the emerging middle class in the developing world. And as you enter the middle class in the developing world, you move to cities, form households, buy cars, buy consumer products. All of that is driving chemical demand. And it's not just China. Half of that developing world growth will happen outside of China. So that's the demand side of the equation that is making for such a bullish environment for chemicals. The supply side is really being driven by feedstock. Increasingly, supply is coming from wherever the advantaged feedstock is. And right now, that's North America, thanks to shale energy. So you will see the U.S. becoming a bigger part of the global trade scene. And Middle East will grow too. We'll be competing with other regions, but the U.S. is back in the game.
Great. And you also note that the U.S. industry is being recapitalized, and by 2025, the U.S. could double exports of the three biggest products, polyethylene, polypropylene, and paraxylene, mainly because of shale-related investments.
Indeed.
Is demand growth enough to absorb all of that capacity without any major disruptions?
Well, when you talk about demand, you certainly have to look beyond the United States, beyond North America. North America is barely back to the demand level of 2007. It's a mature market. But when you look at global demand, that is indeed a huge increase in demand, and it's going to require new capacity. So yes, the U.S. will find a market, but it will compete with the Middle East and with other producers. There'll be more capacity in Asia. Will there be winners and losers? Yes, you'll see capacity rationalization, which is already happening in places like Europe, and some projects, like in China, are slowing down. But the market is certainly out there for efficient global producers.
Can you give us an update on where ExxonMobil stands on its Baytown project today?
We are very close to beginning construction on Baytown. Actually, Baytown is spread, that project, over 2 sites. At our Mount Belvieu site, where the polyethylene units will be, we have all our permits. We're about to start construction there. At the main Baytown site where the cracker will be built, we actually have our permits, but we're waiting the outcome of an appeals process within the EPA. That we expect will be concluded shortly, and we will get underway. I mean, we are standing by, shovels in hand. You want to talk about a shovel-ready project, we're ready to go.
Great. And you also noted the concern around the growing shortage of skilled workers and the impact that that could have on this investment wave in the U.S. How much of a concern is that to you, and what can ExxonMobil and industry do to encourage?
Well, from an industry standpoint, it's a concern. ExxonMobil has, we take a long-term view. We've seen this issue coming, and one of the ways we're dealing with it is by being an early mover from an investment standpoint in response to shale. And we are expecting our project to be on stream in 2017. So it helps to be at the head of the queue. But it's also, what can industry do? It's by taking ownership of the issue and helping be part of the solution of expanding the pool of skilled laborers. We've done that successfully for a number of years. So I talked about some of our collaborations with community colleges in the Houston area. You know, at Baytown, all of our new employees, we have them trained in technical areas at Lee College, the nearby junior college. And today, 15% of our workforce comes from